Hello, thanks for tuning in. We're so glad you joined us tonight. Tonight's episode is dispersed camping, pretty much everything and anything. Um, so please, what I would like is to know where you're watching from. Oops, I got my audio going on this one. You can tell this is a big budget show when we have these little mishaps that are so simple. There we go. Um, Anyway, this live stream is influenced by the viewers. So if you have questions or comments, we're going to kind of go where those comments go. But we have a starting topic, which is dispersed camping. If you're familiar with campground camping, but not dispersed camping, this is a whole new world. You basically like everybody going off into the woods and dispersing and camping wherever they want. We're going to cover all of those bases tonight. But before we start on that one, we're going to kind of go over a few things and give people a few minutes to chime in and finish up dinner, put kids to bed, that kind of thing. So I wanted to say thanks, Daniel. The last time and Dylan, if you're watching, thanks for doing Where's Your Pin with me. That was a great show, and I would love to start doing that as a semi-regular thing. I say semi-regular only because we're in camping season, and I plan to do a whole lot of it coming up here very soon. I shouldn't say coming up because I just did some, and I plan to do more. So I would request that all the guests that are watching, if you're watching, please keep track of where you've been, and let's share and work together. Also, after this show, the one that I would highly recommend is to watch the other live stream about dispersed camping etiquette. We go over some things that are not on the website that we're not going to necessarily cover this evening, like driving slow past another person's campground, not walking through somebody's dispersed campsite like it's a campground. Those kinds of little things can make a big difference. So I would highly encourage you to go check out etiquette of dispersed camping. With that said, I'd like to introduce Daniel from Overland Family Man as my co-host tonight to help me monitor the chat, and also as a very experienced off-road driver and dispersed camper to offer another perspective, more opinions, and help me make sure my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. So thank you, Daniel, for joining.
Always a good time.
Yeah, if you want to say hello real quick, introduce yourself.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Daniel. My online persona is Overland Family Man. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this longer than I knew overlanding was what it was called. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Mendocino National Forest. Found Dylan just looking up material on YouTube for new spots, and I've been watching him for a while now. And here we live in the same town, so we've connected, and here I am. I get to come on and chop it up with you guys. So
yeah, it's worked out perfect. It's really been awesome. The fact that I could almost the proverbial rock, but it's not quite. It's a little further.
Yeah.
But also the sharing of the knowledge and the diverse opinions is awesome. So because you drive a Jeep, I drive a diesel truck with a box trailer, so that offers a little bit of diversity between the two of us. Because I can throw anything I want in there. I've got plenty of room. You got to be a little more strategic about what you bring and who you bring. So.
Sure. Yeah. Although I used to, I don't know if you saw my van. I used to have the biggest, blackest 4x4 van. I still have it. I just don't really use it for overlanding and cruising around anymore. But yeah, I mean, I brought everything in that thing. That was like your truck and trailer combined. You know what I mean?
I probably had that actually, because you're more contained. You can turn around a lot easier, and I would say one up. Sorry.
That's one reason why I kind of went with the Jeep more and more is it's so nimble. I mean, it's a Rubicon, so it's a billy goat. I've never ran across an obstacle it can't handle just on basic overlanding. I mean, I don't hit crazy technical trails like the actual Rubicon or anything in it, but I mean, anything you encounter in Mendocino National Forest, it's just nothing for a Jeep.
Yeah, it's just gonna eat it up. You're gonna have a good time doing it too. I was in the last live stream talking about an N road that we called the Hump Road that we found from camp, and it was really pretty awesome. That I was saying in the last live stream would be a really good spot that if you're new to off-road driving and have a semi-capable vehicle, it would definitely be one that I would say do, because it's a little bit challenging, but the views are awesome. So I haven't seen that van, and I'm curious as to why you don't drive it. I think you told me.
I'm gonna honestly, it's just it's huge. So I mean, it's just going up some of the more precarious roads too. I have a fear of heights, so like going up to the top of whole mountain in that thing, for example. I mean, she teeters and totters every I go over, and I'm just like, ugh. Yeah, just I have so much. I have a lot more fun in the Jeep. I mean, I just had a lot more enjoyment out of the Jeep than the van. However, I mean, for space, yeah. I mean, I started overland. I've had that van for 15 years, and I mean, it's always been my rig. I mean, I've explored a lot of the Sierras in that thing, Mendocino National Forest. I mean, it's taken me anywhere I want to go. Ever since I got that Jeep, it's been a love affair for sure.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective, but I understand and respect the height, the center of gravity, and so on and so forth. And even with my truck without the trailer, I wouldn't want to drive it up Whole Mountain. I got a Yamaha 250. I'll take that up there, thank you.
Sure.
So, anyway,
bear with me just a moment. I'm going to switch my Wi-Fi. So if I pop out for a second, I think I'm real pixelated because I'm on a bad connection. So carry on. I'll be here. I might check out for a second.
All righty. So let's see if we can, while Daniel's switching over, we'll talk about some other things that are going on in the world today. Share and then minimize. And we're going to go. So these are the things you're going to want to check out, or make sure you check out before you go disperse camping. I'm on the Mendocino National Forest website, and all of this is all these links I'm going to go over are already in the description of this live stream. So at any point, if you want to go further into this, you can. All these links that I'm clicking through are up on there. So one of the things I thought I might start off with is one of the videos I did a while back that kind of gives you a sense of sort of what dispersed camping is, and then we'll go into more of a discussion on that. So switching over to here, and I am allowed to play this music because I do have a subscription to Epidemic Sound, so I don't have to worry about copyright problems. That's quite the facial expression I've got going.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, I scrolled through the very beginning. If you really want to see the beginning, go ahead and check it out. But I wanted to not spend all day on this one video, so here we go. This is the M6 that I'm turning off of.
Yeah, that's going down to the river there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know the spot. So here's an interesting tidbit. I think I shared this on our Where's Your Pin. I'm going to go exploring on the other side of that river. There's a creek maybe 100 feet up from this spot to the north that washes into that river. And the only way to get there is from the M3 on the far side of the forest, but there's an end road that goes to the east side of the river on this side, almost to it. I'm going to go check it out.
That sounds. I've seen that road on the map, but I haven't actually been there.
I'm going there. I'll fill you in when I know more.
If I'm not camping, I'm going to lend you some cameras because I'd like to know. I'd like to see, and I'm sure others would like to see too. You'd like to see, right? Everybody's watching. So, man, it's hard to switch between these two things. Anyway, so what you just saw me do was basically pull off of the M6 down this little road that you can see right through here. This is dispersed camping. This is the epitome, I guess you'd say. I found a spot turned in here. There was a road where I'm far enough. We'll discuss these legalities in a little bit, but far enough off the road. There is an established fire ring. This isn't a game refuge though, so there are some other particular rules that apply to this place that don't apply to other locations within the Mendocino National Forest. For instance, your firearms, definitely do your research if you are carrying a firearm through there. I think they have to be locked in a case or disassembled. We're not really going to cover that tonight. We could in another episode, but not much tonight. So at any rate, from here, I'm going to kind of show you around within this video, show you around this spot, and you'll see kind of what dispersed camping is. This is nowhere near like a KOA. There's no KOA anywhere near here, as a matter of fact. You're dispersed. The nearest person to us, we never found them. We were there for 4 days and saw one car. So without further ado, I want to play a little bit more of this.
Welcome.
How's the audio, Daniel? Can you hear that?
Yeah, I hear it.
That's the M6. We're in the game preserve right now, near Lake Pillsbury. I've never stayed in here before, but this is our second day. It's hot, dry. It's not bad though. A little bit of water over here, which I'm going to show you in a moment.
Okay, you just saw it come down the road over here. Back the truck up over in here. As you can see, ample room,
full-size truck. There's actually room behind the truck too. I'll show you that here in just a bit. So now I had to put on a dead cat and give us some better audio. I feel weird saying that because we're a game preserve. But hey, whatever. Let me show you around a little bit.
So with that said, let's switch back over to here and stop sharing. There we are again. So as you can see from the video there, there's no one around. That's dispersed camping. You're out just enjoying the forest, whatever appeals to you. When I'm driving around out in the forest, if I find a spot I like, I make sure there's established fire ring and I stay there. And I have a good time. If I don't like it, I just keep going. That's the best part about dispersed camping. It's not like when you go to a campground where the next campground might be 100 miles or 2 more hours or 3 more hours.
Sure.
When you're dispersed camping, there are regulations which we'll get into, but you're pretty free and open. And we'll go into a little bit about the BLM land also.
Yeah, the double-edged sword of that of the animal that is dispersed camping is I've gone to that spot that you just showed and there were people in it. So you always have a backup plan. You can't really, especially on really nice spots like that, you got to have a backup plan on somewhere else to go, or just be prepared to do some exploring to find another good spot.
Yeah, I have actually just got asked that question the other day. When you went to your spot, did you have a plan B and a plan C? And I went, kind of.
I saw that, yeah.
I have this spot is plan A, this spot plan B, and then there's plan C. But at the same time, I'm not going to be counting on any one of those because sometimes you'll go out and plan A, B, and C will be occupied, which is another topic I actually need to write down is security. That was one I got asked about, was securing your stuff. Do you feel comfortable leaving it in camp? So I'm going to write that down so we come back to that one, Daniel. Security. I'm also trying in the meantime to get this StreamYard back onto one tab. Woo, and that's terrible. Add screen. There. Is that better? No, there's still an echo. See, now I messed it up.
You got a little feedback.
Still hear me while I deal with my technical issues here. Add to stream. There's the echo gone now.
Yeah. Wait. Say something?
Say something? No.
No, we got echo.
Oh my.
Just gotta mute your YouTube.
There. Is that better?
Much better.
All right. Now we're on to something. See, we're live streaming a small show. Again, not a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Working the bugs out.
Budget. It doesn't happen. We're not sponsored in any way, shape, or form or compensated except for a thank you, Daniel. How about some spring water? So, one of the questions that I got asked the other day was basically about security, my stuff. Do I ever get nervous when I'm out dispersed camping about my stuff being stolen? The answer is a little bit, not really. So the last time I went out, I had all my camera gear and my other stuff. I won't mention it all because I don't want someone to come to my spot and go, oh yeah, look what he's got. But when it comes to my valuables, I'll lock them up like you would anywhere else. The dirt bike, the last time I went out, I chained it to the tire on the trailer. So if somebody really wants it, they're going to get it. They're going to take it. I'm not going to go to all ends of the earth to secure my stuff. My stove, I leave it out. All my food, I make sure the small critters can't get in there. A bear's going to get in. There's no keeping them out. I'm sure the Yeti's great and all. I have one, but I only
there's no such thing as bear proof, just bear resistant.
Agreed. X-Country, hi. Sorry for my delinquency and acknowledging, but thank you for joining. I appreciate it. So no, I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about my stuff. I will lock up the important stuff. My camera gear goes everywhere I go, so it's never left in camp. But sometimes some of my other stuff, I'll leave it sitting out.
I'm the same way. Basic camp stuff. Once I set up camp set up. But my guns, my camera, my phone, my keys, anything that I don't want somebody to walk away with, I take it with me. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, I don't take my cameras with me because I'm worried about them being stolen. It's because I don't want to miss anything. And you're just seeing my videos. Right. The one we launched yesterday, the multicam edit, that was 9 cameras. It took 9 cameras to film that. So But it was awesome. I loved it, and can't wait to do it again with more cameras. Because I don't know where it went. Oh, the Osmo. I made a huge mistake when I was out this last time. I actually put it facing backwards on my truck, right behind the rear tire. Well, that was a big mistake because I didn't use the case, and it's a touchscreen on the back. A rock got kicked up and it cracked the bottom of the touchscreen. It's an action camera. They're meant to be, used in all the extremes, from snow to desert. Well, desert maybe, but no more snow, no more water. I got to order a second Osmo. It still records, and I'm still going to keep it. I'm going to use it for everything except for underwater footage, like the more other recent video, the swimming hole. That one was pretty much primarily filmed with the Mavic 2 Pro and the Osmo, but I can't send the Osmo underwater anymore. Anyway, I'm getting off topic when talking about cameras. You thought I like cameras? So let's go over some more links here. Which one do we just do? So one of the important ones to me that I like to see, or I go to pretty often, that I find the easiest, I'm doing screen share while I talk here, is the site map on the Mendocino, or this is the Forest Service website for the Mendocino National Forest. I find just the best starting point is sitemap. I don't find these little, I'm not sure what these are, links, I guess, on the left. I don't find them to be that intuitive, if you will. I find this a lot easier. Oh, camping, boom, done. All right, that makes it easy. But if I wanted to find out about permits, okay, they're under here too, which we'll go into in just a bit. Again, links to all of these are in the description already, including the contact information. So I want to reiterate, and I've said this before, Daniel nor myself, we don't work for, we're not associated with the Forest Service, BLM, any sort of national entity. We're a couple of guys that love going out in the woods and enjoy being out there, and just are really good at finding the information we need to find and making it easy to share, trying to make it easy for you to understand and not be confused, and so you're not intimidated and you do want to go out and have a good time.
Yeah, I think both of us also, we try to be responsible and encourage others to be responsible about it as well, right? We don't want to be building 10-foot bonfires and leaving our trash behind and pooping in streams. We also kind of encourage, you got to do your own research, make sure that you're compliant. I'm definitely not a lawyer, and I'm not going to tell you what you can and cannot do, but be responsible, do a little bit of research, and we try to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we have a whole, we've got a lot of different links to go over tonight, and a lot of information that by the time we're done here, you should be pretty comfortable at looking online at the map and going, I want to go here, and knowing whether it's okay to or not to, and any specifics that we might not cover tonight, you'll be able to answer by the different contacts we'll give you here.
Okay.
So
Carlos posted a question in the chat saying, I hear some people tape around their spots to indicate it's occupied, yay or nay. Could be possible. I can't say I've ever seen that. Sometimes you do see some trail marker tape, like hung from a tree or something. I can't say that I've ever actually seen somebody like really mark off that they're present somewhere, aside from maybe some trail marker tape, because they're trying to, and in my head I think that's more to indicate like they got a buddy coming out behind them and, hey, turn at the red marker tape on mile 9 of the M3. But who knows? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that's unheard of, Carlos. I haven't encountered it myself, but yeah.
Yeah, so that was another question I was asked was, how do you know, how do you know if it's occupied? And then I forget how they phrased the question, forgive me, so I'll just give some sort of example. A couple of live streams ago, we were talking about Rattlesnake Creek, and I was saying that there's a spot right near it that technically is another campsite, but it's they're right next to each other. And I've also talked about on another one where Dylan was a part of it, the spot I led him to on Hole Mountain is really big, and there's a spot in the middle that's really awesome, and there's one right on the edge of the bluff that you can overlook the lake. Well, I've been there a couple times, and I have friends that have been there a couple times, and they're staying in the main central big spot, and someone will drive through their camp and go stay at the other end. Well, that is legal. There's nothing you can do if you're staying in the one spot. You cannot stop them from staying over there. It's public.
Yeah, that's true.
But a camping hack, if you will, and again, I'm not a lawyer, what I've done is brought an extra tent and an extra cooler and an extra chair. I'll set them up, put them in that campsite. Big Dove, one of the videos I have, is a huge spot. It's much bigger than what I was just talking about, a whole mountain. There's two really nice fire rings, but they're 7,500 yards apart, something like that. Good distance apart.
Hey, Nomad, welcome to the chat.
Good. That's welcome. Again, please. I'm curious about where people are watching us from. I really would like to know. But again, so if I'm concerned and I want the privacy, say I'm out with just the wife. Grandma's got the kid, and it's just the two of us for the weekend. We've got 2 nights. I'm gonna take that extra cooler that's empty and the chair and the tent. I'm gonna go set them up at that spot over there. I actually got that hack from a ranger. I mean, that was 15 years ago, because we had it happen to us, to where we were not verbally assaulting, but they were 4-letter words at us as we drove in and out of our campsite, because we tried to get rid of them, because they came and said, "Oh, can we hang up for our wait here for our buddies? And then when they show up, we'll take off." Sure, no problem there. Next thing we know, they're setting up camp. There's nothing we can do at that point. So, marking your spot, sure. Just remember, we can't. Use something. You'd mentioned using markers to help people get there. We used to use caution tape, and I think the last a couple live streams ago, someone was saying use clothespins attached to a streamer and say just follow the streamers.
I have biodegradable trail tape. I mean, you can get it at REI or Amazon. It degrades after a few weeks in the woods, and I use that's how I do it. As long as you remember to pack it out, no problem.
I'm curious about that. I actually am unaware of that. Would you mind spending a moment, just a quick blurb about that?
What's that? Just the
biodegradable. What did you call it?
Yeah, it's just trail tape. I think it's called trail tape. Or something to that effect. It's just a roll. It looks like almost like electrical tape. You can buy it in different colors. It degrades over time. I don't know how long it degrades, but it doesn't last all that long. Used by hunters, hikers, things like that, just as a trail marker. You can use it backpacking, or if you're going in and out, you can use it to keep yourself from getting lost, or any number of ways to use it. I've used it in the past for when I'm dispersed camping and I got people heading up a certain way. I'll try to school them on where we're going as best I can. Hopefully they know how to read a map, and I'll mark turns with the trail tape. So basically just kind of follow the trail tape. I've even used chem lights in the past, glow sticks, like in the Army you call them chem lights. I've used glow sticks for folks that are coming in at night. But that biodegradable trail tape, I have it always in my camping stuff, and I think I just always have it in my Jeep, period, under the seat. And I'll use that just to mark, because I got a couple spots that, like, you'll pass the turnout. You're basically going down some like a car wash. I mean, you're going to get scraped on the side. So some pretty narrow turnouts that look like they lead to nowhere, and easy to miss. So I'll just like mark it with some tape, put a nice, 4 or 5 foot streamer from a tree so that you can see it, and just mark the way that way.
Yeah. So, but does it come in multiple colors or patterns? Or?
Yeah. I think it comes in multiple colors. I think I have like a pink, but yeah, you can get like yellow, pink, red. Yeah, different colors, green even.
Good to know. But I would add to that, like we've talked about before, remove it on your way out. Even if it is biodegradable, you should take it with you.
Yeah. I don't want to. If I'm leaving, I don't want somebody to know to turn off into my spot either.
Yeah, right. There's guys like me that are filming and putting it out on YouTube. So,
right.
At any rate, so that's something new. The biodegradable tape I did not know about.
Just if you look for it on Amazon or something like that, the biodegradable trail tape or whatever, it'll pop up. It's a couple bucks for a roll. You can, like I said, you can get it. I think you can get it at REI for sure. Like hunting stores, Bass Pro, Outdoors, or what is it, Sportsman's Warehouse, things like that. They're gonna have that kind of thing also. And it's a nice little hack, and it comes in handy.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And again, that's part of why I thank you for being on here, is because we can work together to share information with as many people as possible that one person might not be aware of. So thank you for pointing that out. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So on to the next page. I think we've hi Nomad Unbroken Live. Thank you for that was you that said you're in Florida in the back of a bowling alley. It's a bit loud. Yeah, I'd imagine it is loud. Thank you for joining us, though. That's awesome. Even though you're not near the Mendocino National Forest, but if you ever are, let us know and we'll send you to someplace cool. Promise. So let's go. Let's see here. How do I do this? I think it's here. Add to stream. Here. And then I go over here. Make sure it works. So I'm trying to screen share here. There we go. Looks like it's going to come up. So this is what the Mendocino National Forest defines dispersed camping as. If you go, and again, there's a link to this exact URL in the description already if you want to go there. So camping on the Mendocino is not limited to developed campgrounds. Most of the forest is open to those who prefer the quiet and solitude of a completely undeveloped setting. This type of camping is called dispersed camping. For dispersed recreation areas, visitors may camp in the same location outside the 1 mile radius of a developed recreation site. So we're going to go over this developed recreation site in a little bit. We'll get more into this, but basically, to sum it up, a campground. Don't stay with it. Stay outside 1 mile or more from a campground. Then they also go in to say for 14 days within a 30-day period, but not more than 28 community days in a 12-month period. I don't want to throw myself under the bus, but I destroyed this last year. I was at like 3.5 months.
Yeah, no comment.
I did not go once, but over the course of the entire year, I was in the Mendocino National Forest for a very long time. It was great. So that's why I started this channel. When you go home, leave the forest the way you found it or better for the enjoyment of the next visitors. When we were out last time, man, I found shots. I didn't find a lot. I'm not knocking whoever was there first. I found a half dozen shot shell, some 357, and some little the little pull tabs for beer cans and beer bottle lids. That was about it. It took me a while to pick those up, but in the end, we had a good shirt full. So please pick up after yourself, because if we abuse it, we lose it, right? So if we start trashing places, they're going to start closing them down. We do not want that to happen. So going a little more into this, dispersed camping is permissible where the motor vehicle use map allows travel. We covered this in the etiquette live stream that you can't break trail. You can't just, that looks like a great spot, and pull through this grassy meadow and go clear it with your pick of all debris and then camp there. It doesn't work that way. You need to find a spot that's already established somewhere in here. So the motor vehicle may be parked up to one vehicle length from the edge of the road surface. So there's your definition. I was talking about it earlier. There needs to be a minimum distance from the road to your car to be able to stay there. And right here on this link, it tells you they want you to be basically at least one vehicle length away from the road surface. My opinion, they also talk about don't break trail. My opinion of that's too close to the road for me. I like to have a little privacy. Either be on a straightaway where they're going to keep going and not really look, or, well, at any rate, I could ramble on for days. But motor vehicles, that when I was at Lake Pillsbury last time, I saw a guy drive down in the lake basin where the elk usually are, off the pavement, down a berm and out into the grass. Looked like a fantastic place to sip his cup of tea, but not legal. So don't break trails. Stay on the roads, and that doesn't apply, or doesn't mean strictly paved roads, dirt roads. Just stick to the roads. So anyway, again, link to this in the description, and this pretty much sums it up, that you can have the number of days you can stay and where you can go, and the maps they talk about are readily available. My favorite one cost me $15. I carry it not everywhere I go, but this one here, I swear by this map. It never runs out of batteries. It even got wet in the last rain, and it's just fine. So I ended up meeting some guys from Hayward. We were staying up near the water spring, and they'd been there before, but they didn't know about Keller Lake or Black Butte or any of those. So of course I went back down and brought the map out. You should check out this spot, that spot. And, by the way, you should check out one of my live streams. So, always good to plug myself. Campfire permits. You can get them online, or you can get them from a ranger. You can get them at the ranger station. The forest prevention officers have them. They're pretty easy to get. basically give them your name and number, show that you have some competence in a brain, and you'll be able to get one. Right now we're in the fire restrictions. So if you come over on the side over here, you got your different restrictions. So alerts and warnings is something you always want to check at least the night before you go, if not the day you leave, to check on the current status of things. They did just reopen some new campgrounds and day use areas after the COVID restrictions. But the fire restrictions is the one I wanted to get into a little bit. So here's the current fire restriction as it is on their website. We covered some of this before, but I wanted to touch on developed recreation site right here. So we're going to go over this again. Which one of these tabs? Not that one. Here we go. No. Yes. So the campgrounds, these campgrounds listed here, these are what they're calling developed recreation sites. Here's your list right here. All these campgrounds. These are places you can currently have a campfire, and in some of them you don't even need a campfire permit. But again, check the regulations on the website. Make sure you have your fire permit, but also when you go into these campgrounds, they're going to have a huge bulletin board when you pull in with signs posted of current restrictions or just FYIs or, hey, by the way, we've got ticks out or, whatever. It's a bulletin board that the Forest Service posts stuff. When you pull in, make sure you stop and check that out, because they will tell you specific regulations to there and also have some specific signs for that. Some of these are great campgrounds. I haven't been to all of them. That's why I use some, why I'm so generic in speaking about them. But some of them, like Plesket Meadows, really has a great feel to it. You do feel like you're semi-dispersed in a campground setting. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it kind of, to me, feels that way. Versus like Oak Flat and down at Lake Pillsbury. Oh man, that's like KOA to me. I know that there's probably somebody out there that's giving 4-letter words to my name, but I've never had a good time at Oak Flat. Every time I've been there, it's been just scared. I didn't like it at all. Daniel, any thoughts on any of those?
In terms of the site that you see there on the website.
Any of it, the dispersed camping, we talked about that. Any of that information, do you have any further thoughts on the campfire permits or, oops, I lost it, the dispersed camping?
Not really. I think you pretty well covered anything I'd have to say there. I'm really interested in learning what you learned on the fire restrictions.
So that was one of the key ones. There's that one. That's what they mean by developed.
Right. Yeah. So when I called the ranger station and asked them about that, what that meant, because when it goes down to, when you scroll down a little bit there into part 2, and it says, however, permits with a valid California campfire permit may use a portable campfire pit. Yeah. That comma is what threw me off. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah. I called them and I asked them about them. I was like, does that mean that I can bring a, enclosed fire pit from Walmart that I would use in my yard, something to that effect? Mm-hmm. And can I set that up and have a wood burning fire in it? And they said, no, that means that you can have like a Camp Chef propane portable fire pit. Yes. That uses like a propane shutoff valve. Yes. And that's what they define as a portable fire pit, because they said basically it's all one sentence there, and it all kind of encompasses anything that you're going to use. You can't use briquettes. You can't use wood burning out in a dispersed setting. You can only use essentially something with a shutoff valve. So natural gas, propane, kerosene, something like that you can turn the flame off. Mm-hmm. Is what they told me on that phone call. With the exception being an established fire ring by the Forestry Service. That doesn't mean that you're in a commonly used dispersed site and there's an established stone fire ring. That doesn't count. It's got to be a fire ring placed by the Forestry Service, or a wilderness area.
Yeah, which threw me off, because that seems like anything would burn. But anyway, but it's also the developed recreation site. So that does, again, like you were saying, not in a dispersed spot. But if you go back to the link where I show all those different campgrounds, those are the developed recreation sites you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to be the little tent, either enclosed or open. Semi what do they call semi-established, or an established site essentially means. I mean, I've seen some pretty bare minimum sites. Doesn't mean it's going to have a toilet or anything like that, but it will have, 1 or 3 or 10 fire rings. That's from what I've seen from the Forestry Service, that kind of defines a established site. You got a metal fire ring, and it shows up on a map as a campground, and they can be as primitive as only a fire ring. They could have running water. They could have vault toilets. They could have picnic benches. But I've seen them as far down and as bare bones as just a fire ring. And
but with that said, so here's an example. If you look up telephone campground on Google Maps, that's not an official campground. But if you look on Google Maps, it literally says telephone campground. So it would lead a novice to believe that is a developed recreation site and a campground.
Got to go by the Forestry Service maps.
The maps or the web page.
Or
maps
the web page.
are really good. I prefer the maps myself, but whatever works.
The thing about if you're just going, you kind of got to use both in this day and age, because one of my favorite established campsites is Bear Creek off of M10, and right off of the M10, which is lower down, kind of in the Upper Lake District of the Mendocino National Forest. That one's closed. But you don't know that by driving up to it. Sometimes there's a sign on a closed site. Sometimes there's not. But it will show as closed on the web page. You can look up maybe even in that resource that you just had pulled up, it'll say, I think I looked at that and it still had it down at the bottom of the page, sites that are still currently closed, and Bear Creek was one of those.
On this same one, I can scroll down.
Maybe it was. No, you're in the fire permit one, but
yeah,
they had a new notification just recently about open campgrounds. If you pull up the note on that, I think it's their most recent.
Oh, which ones are open?
Yeah, they had a new notification about that. It's a Forest Order 82007, additional recreation opportunities. If you open that one and scroll all the way down, it'll tell you the closed sites.
Yeah, these are the only ones that are make this bigger. These are the ones that are currently still closed.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Nye Camp is one of my favorites, and Bear Creek is one of my. It looks like Nye Camp's not on there anymore. That's good. But Bear Creek, I mean, that's a great spot for an established site. But you don't know that. I've driven past it 3 weeks ago, and there was no indication of it being closed on the way in.
Yeah. So one of the nice things about dispersed camping is you're by nature, forgive me for no pun intended, but I guess pun intended, you're socially distancing yourself already because you're staying away from everybody. Versus in a campground, you're right next to everybody, especially like a KOA. Forgive me as I'm always knocking KOA. Sorry.
No, I'm going to a KOA this weekend.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, so the dispersed camping is great because you're alone. You're with the people. Like when I went out the last couple times, it's been my household plus one, and then usually the plus one will stay somewhere else. Like I just mentioned Big Dove in my videos, which is Oak Knoll on the Mendocino National Forest map. But if you type that into Google, it takes you to the town up. That spot I was just talking about, you have another campsite with a established, very nice fire ring, and it even has a piece of wood as a kitchen countertop, plenty wide enough to cook on and prepare your food. They stayed over there. So at night we shared a fire, but they're on the other side of the fire. So that's great to be able to do, even during this COVID time, this new reality or whatever we're going to call it. Dispersed camping is awesome because you're staying away from each other and enjoying the peace and solitude of being out in nature. So
that's the only way in my book.
Yeah, it is in mine too, but I can also understand and respect the fact of being able to have a vault toilet and running water. I get it. I understand.
There's benefits to all of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to a KOA this weekend, not necessarily by choice, but I'm sure my young kids will love the swimming pool and stuff like that. But that's not camping in my book.
Yeah, it's again though, not knocking it if it's your thing. That's great.
Time and a place, right?
Yeah, time and a place for everything. So we've covered that one. So RV camping. I had this open just because I've had a few questions about it, but the link to this is also again in the description already. I haven't asked, could I get my RV into that spot? Sure, there are spots you could get your RV into, depending on size. I've seen guys haul 30-foot toy haulers out FH7 and stay near Plesket Meadows.
Yeah, I mean, if the road, like specifically the M roads, M1, M6, M3, if they're in the condition they're supposed to be, you could absolutely take an RV out there carefully.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, I mean, conditions change and repairs aren't fast though. So I mean, you have to expect washouts and things like that on those roads. But I mean, the M road, the whole concept between the ones that start with M, you know, Mike 3, Mike 6, whatever, is that they need to be able to get a city fire engine down that road. It's a forestry fire service road. They need to be able to get anything down it. That doesn't mean like the big, you know, 6x6 lifted fire trucks that can go anywhere. They need to be able to essentially get a ladder truck down that road. So that's the theory behind or at least the level of maintenance they try to keep the M roads at. Is it always the case? No. However, every time there's a big fire, I've noticed some serious repairs on those roads. I mean, they bust a big cat down that thing real quick to get the fire trucks in. So I mean, because I've been one year to the next when there was like after the ranch fire, you know, there were some pretty tough spots on M10, for example, where there's no way. And then after ranch fire, I mean, smooth as glass. So
yeah,
that's kind of the.
They definitely cleaned up a lot of roads, and it's a little unfortunate that's what it took, but I'll take it. With that said, when I was up at FH7 beginning of mid-April, they were grading it. Then it was smooth as butter. It was perfect.
What did you end up learning about the fires from your?
Oh, I was just covering those. Basically, we covered them. So the shutoff valve is critical, and within this order, it talks about what fuels are allowed and not allowed, and then the other one was the definition of I'm looking for the fire thing here. Developed campgrounds. The developed was what threw me for a loop. So I had to ask, and the developed is basically the campgrounds, if it's in that list. And then again, check the board as you're walking, the bulletin board is going in there. And if you have any questions, I have within the description of this video, I have all 3 or all 4 ranger offices, the district and their phone number. So if you're going to a particular place like Lake Pillsbury, you're going to call the Upper Lake Ranger District, give them a call, ask them whatever. Ounce of prevention, pound of cure. They'd rather tell 100 million people than have one fire.
Yeah, they're super cool. I mean, they're you got to call during business hours. They're never there like other than business hours, but like they're super cool. I mean, they're happy to talk. They're not on a time limit. Like that's their job is to answer the phone and answer questions. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to call them with a stupid question. They'd rather answer 1,000 stupid questions than put out one fire. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to pull up. Here they are. So they're on every page on the Mendocino National Forest. If you scroll down, contact information right here. So like Pillsbury, Stony Ford, Red Bluff apparently is a very small section, but Covelo is the one I pass through all the time. I'm coming from Windsor near Santa Rosa. But the Willows office, from what I'm gathering, that seems to be like the HQ, if you will, the headquarters. That again, that's just information gathering on my own. I haven't heard that from any official source. But I have read the Covelo Ranger Station and probably spent 20 minutes, half an hour asking them what I was thinking were dumb questions, and they were fine answering them. You know, the fire.
They love talking to folks too, and if you get a good ranger, they'll point out sweet secret spots too. Like they're happy to share. Yeah, they will. I mean, I've learned about some rad spots from those guys and gals.
Absolutely. I'm actually opening up my map now. So with that said, to me, that is one of the huge bonuses of having a paper map is you can pull it out. Let's see if I can unscreen share it here. if you go back to, or if you have a paper map and the ranger pulls up or a prevention officer and you say, hey, what's nearby? I've never been here. They'll tell you some spots, or they might even circle them right on the map. You see that? Those aren't from me. I mean, Sidewater Camp, that's from me. But the other two, and you see the little lines on it? I'm trying to figure out where my finger is. Doop, doop. Anyway, it's like we're cutting your hair in the mirror. Obviously, that's an emphasis. So to me, that's a check, a plus for having a paper map. I do, but with that said, I got to admit I'm jealous at times of the guys with Gaia or Onyx.
Yeah, you got Gaia Maps, you got Onyx Off-Road, Onyx Hunts.
Yeah, you guys just pull up your app and boom, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Right here. There's no question. Whereas here sometimes we're back and forth. The last outing I did, our guest took off 24 hours before my wife and I did. So we spent the last day cruising around. After he left, we went out driving around. And there were a few times like, I ended up flying the drone so that I knew because I know the drone has GPS that tracks its flight.
Yeah.
Landed the drone, turned it off, went back within the app of the drone, and tracked the flight, and it gave me the GPS coordinates.
Yeah, so with paper map, I always keep a paper map as a redundancy, always. But yeah, it's always like, oh, was that bend in the road this bend, or you get to an intersection that's going a certain which way, shaped like an X, and you're like, okay, this is where I am. Yeah, it's a lot easier to get a little bit turned around, especially if you put it down for an hour and you're driving, and then you pick it up and you're trying to figure out where you are. It can be a little bit confusing to get back to where to pinpoint where you are. That's why I love Gaia GPS. I have it on my phone. I'm in my rig, so I've always got it's always charged. I don't know if I would use that necessarily for hiking the John Muir Trail for 15 days, but yeah, I mean, it's really clean, really organized. I can explore it when I'm bored on my computer. I can look at new areas that I want to go to, drop a marker there, and that marker will show up on my phone. I have all the maps saved offline. So smartphones these days, they built-in GPS. Even if you don't have cell service, you have a pinpoint marker. So it's really handy like that. I mean, I love it. I mark spots. I can take a picture of an area that I'm in, save it to a waypoint, just to refresh my own memory. Like, oh, I found a cool whatever spring, creek, or whatever it is, a cool camping spot, or a place that I want to go explore further. I can mark it. But it's got 30 different ways to mark it as a waypoint. You can put a flower down if you want to, and be like, "Hey, I found a cool lily in this spot. I've done that." So that's one way. One way I like it. My paper map is 12 years old, and I should go dig that up for the next live stream, because mine is like, it's almost confusing. Like, I've got so many different marks. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You know what I mean? It's just like 10 different colors of pen and marker on it with circles and dots and X's and. Like,
so with that said, that would go to show, or how would I say this? That would show that there's a lot of places to go dispersed camping. If you've got that many circles, I mean, this map is huge. This paper one, I don't even fold it out, and you can disperse camp pretty much all of it except for the private property. You can go to the wilderness areas. So, but with that said, if you're nervous about, can I be here? Am I allowed to camp specifically right where I'm standing? The apps are very handy for that, because there is sections of the Mendocino National Forest. There's not very many, very few, but some of them are private land. Ranchers that lease the land to let their cattle roam. Some people live out there. Some people grow weed out there. I'm not really sure how that works, but whatever. So having the app gives you the peace of mind of knowing that I'm right here. I am in the Mendocino National Forest. I can disperse camp over here.
That is true. Yeah, you can get private land ownership and things like that. And Gaia does have a free version. You can basically have a very basic level of the map for free. I paid, I think, $40 for a year subscription for it. I mean, for me, I was like, it's one tank of gas, and I can have all this additional information. I like having that information. I invested in it, and I love it. I mean, I think it's well worth the $40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's like a section here, but you'd have to know where you are on the map. That white is private property,
right? At
Anthony Peak. So to the M4 side, you're on public land, and you're good. But Anthony Peak, if you look on the what is that on the west side, that's all private land. So that's pretty easy on this map to find that. I'm at Anthony Peak. There's only one. There's not much around it. There's only one road. It's easy to find. But there's sometimes you've been driving for like 5 hours and you've been on 22N26, 22N this, 22N that, and then all the 22s and 23s and 28s and the N's and 6s and 12s, and then you get into, I saw one on a couple trips ago that was N217. It had 3 digits at the end. You start to just kind of, oh my God, this is too much. App, I gotta say, at some point I'm gonna have to do it, or not have to. I'm gonna want to do it.
It's a very handy tool. I mean, how much do you have invested in other things that you take camping? You know what I mean? To have, I think in terms of like camping gear and overlanding gear, it's one of the things. Like I watch a lot of folks that do overlanding on YouTube, and it is like consistent across the board. A lot of the equipment that these folks do, you know, whether it be international overlanding or even just stuff like we do, local weekend warriors, pretty consistent. They're all using some form of digital mapping device, whether, you know, their phone with Gaia or Onyx off-road. I hear good things about that one as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both my vehicles, the Subaru and the Chevrolet, have GPS touchscreen in them, and they're pretty good. But they're even the 2016 Subaru, there's still roads that don't show up on the map sometimes. Or
the digital stuff, cars, phone, none of it's perfect. I've had Gaia have stuff that exists and doesn't exist, you know, on the app. I mean, but you get that even with, I've ran into that with the paper forestry maps as well. Like they say a road goes this way and there is nothing going that way. It must be God knows how old, you know. So you're going to get that anywhere. That's why redundancy, I think, is really important. Have a paper map, have a map on your phone. I use my vehicle GPS too. I'll usually have that running as well, just kind of tracking so I can see bends in the road and kind of pinpoint where I'm at. I use several forms of navigation all at once when I'm out and about.
Yeah, then they're handy to have. They're like spare tires. They don't take up a lot of room, and you'll be happy when this one runs out of battery that you have this one.
Yeah.
When you're out and about all day long, you're gonna want this one. So
yeah.
But again, if you're nervous at all about where can I be, where can I go, where can I stay, am I allowed to be here, you might be best off just buying the app, and then you know that you're good to go. Just make sure you stay the 1 car length away from the road.
You know, even using the free version, doesn't let you download maps, though. I think that's the main reason why I paid for the subscription. They do have a Gaia, for example, has a $20 subscription model. I think it has fewer layers, so meaning like forestry service, motor vehicle use, private land, and things like that. But like the $20 version, I think will let you download maps. Even if you have the basic one and it pinpoints where you are, I mean, just using that in conjunction with your paper map, at least you know where you're at on the paper. And that's enough to get you the information, because like you said, the forestry map itself is pretty well clear on, you know, the white areas are private. You got your wilderness areas show up there, your game refuges, all your critical information is on that paper map. So if you can pinpoint yourself on that, you're good.
Mm-hmm. So knowing some map skills is kind of handy, but we're in this technological age. So again, we're just giving you information that you can digest and absorb in your own way, and what works for you, that's great. So the next thing I thought I'd move on to would be cover a little bit about BLM. I'm not that excited about, and I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter, all due respect. When I put that in the description today, I was like, oh my God, I hope this doesn't bring me the wrong kind of traffic. Oh boy. But anyway, so I brought up a couple of web pages from the Ukiah office. I thought I'd share those real quick because they're pretty similar. It's all pretty much the same. So let's get this mirror effect going again. It looks really bad. Let's go over here. Again, all these links are in the description. I also haven't said it yet, but please, a thumbs up means a lot. It brings us up in the search standings. Comments that you guys are adding help fuel the show and kind of steer the show. Again, if you've got a question or comment that's not pertaining to what we're talking about right now, but it's camping related, we'll do our best to talk about it, steer the show. If it's something cool, we'll just keep going with it. So BLM, Bureau of Land Management. You'll find that BLM land is going to be more, what would I call this? Like chaparral, if you will, more dry, flat, down the lowlands, fewer trees. But you got a different, how would I say this, activities you can do down there. They're more flexible on riding. They're more flexible on shooting. The amount of spots to disperse camp are greater. There's more of them because there's not a lot of bushes. There's not it's a more barren land. So like along the edge of the Indian Valley Reservoir, you can stay along almost any of the edge, and it's huge. So I get asked a little bit about BLM, so I thought we'd cover it a little bit, but I'm not that excited about it because I find it a little hot and dry. So it'd be good for like the winter time when you can't even go up to St. Anthony Peak because it's in 10 feet of snow. Indian Valley Reservoir is going to be nice because of the terrain. It's going to be a little warmer than like where I'm at here in Windsor, California.
They're a lot more forgiving for things like OHV also. Like I know you like dirt biking and stuff like that. They're not going to have roads that are necessarily restricted. I mean, they do have like OHV areas, but it's a lot more forgiving for, like you said, just about every activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And within this, their verbiage is pretty similar to Mendocino National Forest when it comes to dispersed camping. There's not a whole lot of difference. The only difference that I can tell you would be the type of area you're staying in. Where I was just at up near Plesket Meadows, things are still starting to bloom. There are the ferns are just now putting out their fronds. In fact, some of them unfortunately got killed because we had another second. The snow melted and then we had another freeze. But that area is just so lush right now. But if you go to Indian Valley Reservoir, all the grass is going to be dead already. But again, if you want to ride and a lot of riding and a lot of area and a lot of flexibility and a lot of the laws are a lot more lax, BLM land. You can drone. I mean, I can fly my drone in the Mendocino National Forest or any of the national forests, but I can also do it in BLM and had a lot less conflict, for lack of any other word, in the BLM land. So again, this is we've already kind of talked about this. It's in the description. The one that I was unsure about adding on here was I actually ran into this. The BLM, Bureau of Land Management, is actually looking for people to comment on their opinions of where you ride your e-bike. So if you have an opinion about e-bikes, BLM would like to hear from you. There is a link in the description. So if you're yay or nay, I thought I'd throw this in there. Also, in the description, let me see here, stop sharing. Within the description is the BLM office out of Ukiah. So you can contact them about any of the BLM in our area. Again, we're both in Windsor, California. We're about, hour and a half, 2 hours north of San Francisco, depending on who's driving and what day.
Traffic, yeah.
So to give you a frame of reference, so that would be our biggest BLM spot and most popular in our area is going to be Indian Valley Reservoir.
We got Cow Mountain. You got
right. Yes, thank you.
There's also east of us Knoxville Recreation Area. Knoxville's really popular. Knoxville and Cow Mountain are really popular for OHVs, whether it be 4x4 clubs. Knoxville's got a lot of fun four-wheeling. Cow Mountain has an obstacle course for four-wheeling. They've got a shooting range.
The shooting range is on a whole separate section of the mountain, though.
That's North Cow. Yeah, you got North Cow and South Cow. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't mix so well. And yeah, if you're looking for some OHV and you want to camp and do some riding right from camp, you could do it at Cow Mountain. But the thing is with Cow Mountain is it's the closest spot to us as far as correct me if I'm wrong here, please. As far as I know, it's the closest place that's actually got some decent trails to it that have some length and some variety. So it gets packed real quick. You got to get there early in the morning, get your riding over with, and then get out of there before noon when everybody and their mom is out there. And then you've got guys. I have a video in here, me riding at Cow. I didn't know it until I got home, but I had a camera facing backwards. There was a guy right on my backside on the one-way trail. He knocked me over because I was going too slow. By the time I noticed him, I went to pull over. He knocked me over. So Cow Mountain, you can stay there. You can disperse camp. It's BLM. and the other areas Daniel's talking about, yes. If that's your style, right on.
Yeah, it's all heavy, like you say though, heavy scrub, real dusty, real dry, not a lot of water. There is some water, but it's not like Mendocino National Forest where you've got, creeks and rivers running through it. It's very different terrain.
If you're into lake fishing, though, the Indian Valley Reservoir is pretty big.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never fished it, so I don't know how successful it is right now at fishing. And I know that we had that massive drought a few years ago. It was the reservoir was down to like what 15% capacity or something.
Yeah, it was
down almost to the dam, down in the lake bed. So I don't know what's in there, but whatever was in there, I'm only guessing here, but I think a lot of it got killed off because it got the heat. The temperature of the water got really hot when it got down that low.
Salinity rises and things like that too when water goes dry like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they start swimming in their own waste and ew. Anyway,
I don't eat lake fish anyway.
Yeah, they're fun to catch, but
unless it's alpine lake fish, that's different.
I don't know, steelhead out of Lake Sonoma, I'd eat those.
I'll eat those. That's different. That's a lot of water in Lake Sonoma.
Yeah, that is. I still wouldn't eat their bass though. Let's see here. So
what else you got? I'm gonna have to clock out here pretty soon, buddy. I gotta.
Hey, it's not a problem at all. I'm actually going through my notes to make sure that we've covered most everything. So we've covered a lot of it, but again, I'd reiterate to watch the Dispersed Camping Etiquette video live stream because we cover a lot of stuff that is not on this website or the BLM website. And it is good. You don't want to be that person when you're out in the woods. So highly recommend watching that one. You can find me on Facebook if you want to send me a message, leave a comment within YouTube. I will do my best to respond, whether it be, what's the, I don't know how to explain that. Just write me. If you got a question, just write me.
Yeah, you can ping me as well. I have an YouTube profile. I don't have really any content, but I'm on Overland Family Man on Instagram too. You can ping me on there. I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Oh, Daniel, in the last stream I did talk about, I played a video, which I'll be making a video and publishing it of it, but I just played it live, was the Weather Service, or the Mendocino National Forest does a weather broadcast at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. every day.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
You have to have a radio where you can type in the frequency, and you can find those frequencies within the last live stream. Which one was that? I just realized I didn't even check that part.
That's like a shortwave radio that you have there?
Sort of. It's like a bottom end ham radio.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not a licensed ham operator, so I don't have anything fancy. New Locations was the last one,
right?
And I actually play part of the recording of them stating the weather, and then I also within the description, the description of that video is all the frequencies for admin, the Forest Service, fire, and some. There's 4 of them, and one of them's weather, and I do have it spelled out weather. It's this one. That's here. Cool. You type in the frequency, and if you're listening, they will tell you eastern Mendocino, western Mendocino, higher elevations and the lower elevations, the humidity, the wind, the predicted temperature, so on and so forth. So I found these on Amazon for I think it was $125 for 2 of them, extra battery, charger, earpiece, cop mic, all the whole 9 yards. Awesome. And we do just one before you head. I'm not sure how much time I'm keeping you on here, but next week we're doing a show about a guy lifted his Volvo 240 and drove it from Indian Valley up to I think it was Lake Pillsbury. He's going to be coming on and showing us some pictures and talking about his adventures. I've never seen anybody lift a 240 Volvo and put all-terrains on it, so that'll be interesting. And then we're working with another gentleman to actually do one on radios and cover some of the basics of those, because they're kind of like the spare tire thing. You know, they're good to have. So with that said, we covered the chat. We're good there.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I do got to get going.
All right. Well, then
It's been fun. I'll definitely if I can't join you on Tuesday, I'll definitely follow up and watch the video. And thanks everybody for watching. I got to dip out, but thanks for having me on. It's always a good time.
Thanks for joining us, Daniel. I appreciate it, and
Right
bring
on.
us some spring water soon.
Right on, buddy. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
So Daniel's out now, but you still got me for a few more minutes. Morgan, yes, Baofeng radios. That's what I've been. From what I understand, they're great radios for the as an entry level radio. I'm not licensed ham operator yet. I want to get my ham license. So right now I kind of feel throttled down and restricted because I got to choke this radio down so I don't, broadcast at 8 watts and get in trouble. So at some point. But again, Tuesday, you're doing one on car adventures because the gentleman literally took a car down these dirt roads. And I'm very curious to understand his experience because when I go down in my car, I'm in a Subaru that's all-wheel drive. A Volvo 240 is two-wheel drive. So I'm looking forward to this with great anticipation. I'm going to continue doing the Where's My Pin? I had a great time with Dylan and Daniel. I'd like to do it again, and I would highly encourage you and ask of you, if you have a spot that you like or are curious about, that you keep track of it, and when we do have this episode or we do the next one, please share it and let's talk about it. If you want to join in, let's bring you on. With that said, again, I am available. I make myself available as much as I can. You can write me here on YouTube, find me on Facebook. My name on Facebook is what you see on the display screen, Dylan Panko. I did this time add a link to my Patreon because I don't get compensated for any of this. I'm not monetized on YouTube. I have no sponsors. All the fuel for these videos comes out of my pocket. All these camping trips that I go on and do these videos, it's all coming out of my pocket, and I enjoy it. I'm going to continue to do it. But $1 or $2, every little bit helps to make things easier for me to get more videos out of more locations. So thank you very much for watching. Please, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. A thumbs up, comments, subscribe if you haven't already. I thank you very much for your time, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next live stream. Cheers.